I am Albert Einstein, a German-born theoretical physicist, scientist, philosopher of science, and world intellectual. This is my story. I was born in Ulm, Germany in 1879. For some, childhood is a warm memory, filled with laughter, games, and a sense of belonging. For me, it began in long, unsettling silence. I spoke late. People thought I was slow, maybe even incapable. Some wondered if I would ever do well in school. I remember watching others talk easily while I stayed quiet, not because I didn't understand, but because words felt like foreign objects I had yet to shape. Silence made me watch more closely. Every shadow on the wall, every beam of sunlight through the window, every compass needle that always pointed in the same direction, they all stirred questions in me. Why did the needle never stop pointing north? Why could sunlight warm my skin but never be caught in my hands? Why did time keep moving? Unseen yet unstoppable. At home, we weren't religious. My father, Herman, ran a small electrical business. My mother, Pauline, loved me but worried about my future. They sent me to a Catholic elementary school, even though we were ethnically Jewish. That's where I first heard stories of God, creation, and miracles. As a child, I listened with wonder, until one day, I started asking too many questions. If God made the world in 6 days, what about dinosaur fossils? If God is good, why is there war? My religion teacher didn't appreciate those questions, and I began to feel the gap between the answers I was given and the endless curiosity inside me. As I grew older, I discovered another world, a world of mathematics and physics. Here, questions could be pursued to the end. Numbers never got angry when you questioned them. Equations didn't take offense when you tested them. I could sit for hours thinking about a single question. How does light travel? What would I see if I could chase a beam of light? That question would later become the center of my life. When I was 15, my family moved to Italy. I left the rigid German school system that valued memorization over understanding. I hated it. I preferred to learn on my own, reading advanced physics books long before they were taught in class. My curiosity also made me feel isolated. While my peers talked about music or sports, I was thinking about time, space, and the riddles of the universe. In 1905, everything changed, what the world would later call my annus mirabilis, my year of miracles. While working as a clerk at a patent office in Bern, Switzerland, I wrote 4 papers that would transform physics forever. One introduced the special theory of relativity. From that came a simple yet profound equation, E mc2. Energy and mass, 2 sides of the same coin. The scientific world was stunned. My name began to spread, and for the first time I realized that my mind could truly shape the world. But even then, fame couldn't answer the deeper questions. If the laws of nature are so elegant, where do they come from? If the universe is like a perfect clock, who made the clock? I didn't have the answers yet, but I knew one thing. The deeper I studied the universe, the more I sensed there was something greater, and that science was only the doorway into that mystery. By 1915, I published the general theory of relativity. The concepts of space, time, gravity, and the cosmos all shifted. It wasn't just mathematics and physics, it was a new way of seeing reality. The media praised me, the world called me a genius, and for a while, I believed the praise. But inside, something disturbed me. Because while I was revealing the beauty of the natural order, humanity was drowning in chaos. World War I broke up. My homeland, Germany, was engulfed in bloodshed. The science I loved was used to create deadly weapons. I signed a manifesto for peace along with a few other intellectuals. It didn't stop the artillery fire. I saw the sharp contrast between the elegance of physical laws and the ugliness of human hearts. Science could explain the motion of planets, but it could not stop hatred in the human soul. In the years that followed, my fame grew. I moved to America, teaching at Princeton, but once again the shadow of war loomed. This time, the threat was darker. Physicist Leo Szilard came to me. He spoke of the possibility of developing a bomb based on nuclear fission, a weapon that could destroy an entire city in one blow. I hated the idea, but I knew Nazi Germany was pursuing the same technology. Reluctantly, I signed a letter to President Roosevelt, urging research into the bomb before our enemies could build it first. That letter contributed to the birth of the Manhattan Project. When the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world fell silent. So did I. I felt guilt, not because I had built it. I hadn't been directly involved. but because I had helped start the process. Once again, the science I loved had been turned into a tool for destruction. And I asked myself, is knowledge without morality a curse upon humanity? This question led me deeper. Many scientists became atheists. For them, the more we understood the universe, the less we needed God. But I saw it differently. For me, the more I understood the laws of nature, the more I felt that something, or someone, had written those laws. I often said, God does not play dice with the universe. Some took it as a metaphor. But for me, it was a confession. I rejected the idea that this cosmos was merely a product of blind chance. I wasn't religious in the traditional sense. I didn't follow every ritual, but I rejected dry atheism. I believed in what I called a cosmic religious feeling, an awareness of intelligence, order, and beauty beyond human comprehension. And I was convinced this was no accident. But I also knew that science had limits. Science could tell us what could be done. It could not tell us whether we should do it. That was the realm of wisdom and conscience. I began to speak publicly, warning the world about the danger of combining scientific power with weak morality. Because I had seen it firsthand. Without a moral compass, knowledge can become a disaster. In the quiet of the night, I often looked at the stars. Those stars. They obeyed the same laws from the dawn of time, unchanging, precise. And I would wonder, who wrote those laws? Who gave the universe its mathematical language? I didn't have all the answers. But I knew this. The logic that shapes the cosmos far surpasses chance. The years passed, my hair turned white, my body slowed, but my mind remained restless. I no longer chased equations the way I once had. Now I chased understanding about what it truly means to be human. In the lab, I still solved puzzles of nature. But in my heart, I pondered greater puzzles. The meaning of life. The origins of morality. The source of beauty. People still ask me, Professor Einstein, do you believe in God? I always answered carefully. No, I wasn't a follower of formal religion. I didn't fully embrace any single tradition. But I refused the dryness of atheism. To me, God was the mystery that shaped this universe. Not a bearded old man in the clouds, but the one revealed through the elegant, unchanging laws of nature. I called it the cosmic religious feeling. The awareness that we are part of something infinite and immeasurable, and that the order we see in nature is not an accident. In my later years, I often sat by a lake near Princeton. The water was calm. The afternoon light glowed like liquid gold. I would sit there thinking about this long journey. I had been the boy who spoke late, the student some thought slow. I had been the patent clerk no one knew. I had been the center of the world's attention. And now, I was simply a man who knew that the more I learned, the more I realized how little I understood. Science had given me tools to understand the physical world, but it hadn't given me a reason to live. It hadn't given me forgiveness. It hadn't given me hope beyond death. I believe science and faith are two windows looking out onto the same view. One tells us about structure, the other tells us about meaning. To close either is to lose depth. I often warned the younger generation, never lose your curiosity. But never let knowledge make you arrogant. Because knowledge without conscience is humanity's greatest danger. We've created incredible technology. We've unlocked the atom. We've sent people into the sky. But if we lose our moral compass, all of it can become the blade that cuts us down. In my final days, I did not fear death because I believed we are all part of something greater, like a drop returning to the ocean, like a note returning to the symphony. And if God truly wrote the laws of nature, then I trust He is also writing our stories with a purpose we cannot yet fully see. I don't know if humanity will ever find a theory that unites everything, but I know that when we do, we won't just find an equation. We'll find beauty so profound it will leave us speechless, and perhaps in that beauty we will hear His whisper. Today, if I could leave you with one message, don't be afraid to question everything. Don't be afraid to seek truth. And when truth leads you to something greater than yourself, don't close the door just because it can't be put in a test tube. There are things bigger than science, and that doesn't make science wrong. It makes life larger than we can measure. My name is Albert Einstein. I am a scientist, a seeker, and one who believes that behind the order of the universe, there is a mind and a heart greater than all. The stars follow His laws, the oceans move to His rhythm, and perhaps the human heart was made to know Him.